Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I wanted to reveal my end-of-season rewards for both my main account at the champion chest level, as well as my alt accounts, discuss those results, and also review some data around the reward cards and the reward card print rates coming out of this end of season. So let's go into the details. I wanted to share with you one thing that might be important to look at, and that's on the Splinterlands.rentals tools. This is a data coming out of, I believe, many of the surveyed accounts here. And we can see the calculation here of the polls that we're seeing at the various levels in bronze, silver, gold, diamond, and champion, and the values that we're getting per chest here being calculated. So you can see here the champion chests are estimated to provide a value of about 54.6 cents per chest over a large sample size, whereas a bronze chest is expected to deliver a value of about 3.2 cents over a large sample size per chest. So let's keep that in mind as we go into the reveal here for my end of season rewards. I will provide a link to this resource as well so you can have it, and as it gets updated you'll be able to leverage that for your data purposes too. This is a result of my champion chests. These were 60 champion chests here that we opened, and you can see the value. I'm not going to go through the animation just to speed things up here. The best thing I think we got here was probably the 2 Chaos Legion packs. We also got 16,080 DEC, as well as a Harclaw Legendary Chaos Legion reward card. The total value of those 60 champion chests was $22.95. And if we look at the Splinterlands rentals value here, we can kind of calculate this. 60 chests times an expected value of 0.546. My expected value for those 60 chests was actually $32.76. So, we underperformed there on this season's reward polls. But what I also wanted to share is I actually played 4 alternate accounts this season just to see what that experience was like and to see if it would be profitable. And I basically just use those accounts as free accounts, climbing out of novice into bronze and eventually into silver, just renting about 15,000 CP and cards on as frequently as I could, almost a daily basis, just as time permitted. And let's go through those rewards and see kind of how things stack up, playing with a very expensive champion deck versus, 4 free-to-play decks that didn't cost me anything because the rentals paid for themselves. Here's the first bronze chest. We opened 72 chests here. We got a Jin O'Shaughnessy, we got some DEC, we got some reward cards, actually quite a few reward cards here. And out of those 72 chests, the value was $3.50. My second alt account, we got a Uraeus and some rares here, and some DEC, and the value of those 78 chests pulled from this account were $2.13. Now these are all bronze chests being pulled on these alternate accounts, so keep that in mind. The third alt account pulled in Epic here a lava launcher as well as DEC and a bunch of reward cards. I mean, if you add it up here, it's 5, 10, 13, 15, 18, it's well over 20 reward cards here, plus DEC. And in those 77 chests, we extrapolated about $1.83 in value, courtesy of Splinter Share. And then I'll also provide a link to that website as well for your reference. This is the last account that we had. This is the alt account number 4. We actually pulled 90 chests from this alt account. We pulled 2 Jin Chihuahuas. We pulled over 1,000 DEC and quite a few reward cards as well. And that value was $2.94. So if we quickly just add up the 4 alt accounts that I played here this last season, and we add up all of their chest values, courtesy of Splinter Shared, the total value that we received this season from those 4 alt accounts coming in at the novice/bronze level was $10.40 worth of rewards that we got for free. And this is similar to what maybe a new user would experience on one account if they just started, or what bots would experience. So if we say that we ran 4 accounts and got $10 in value, well, at end of season, if you had 10,000 bot farms, well, that would be roughly $2.50 an account. So that would be $25,000 in value. Is that right? We had 10,000 of these bots generating about $2.50 each. Yeah, so if you had a large bot farm, you're generating an end of season $25,000 if you're optimized to run it like a competent human would. So hold that, park that thought. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the video. But again, the value here of $10 versus the value of my champion chest pulls of $22.95, roughly 4 alt accounts that we ran for free equaled about half the value of my championship chest here that we pretty much struggled and battled with all season long. So it's an interesting, correlation or ratio there for reward values between a free account and a very expensive account in the game. Really, it takes, 8 free accounts to equal 1, top level account. If you look at my leaderboard standings I finished in the middle of Champion 3, and I think I was ranked 400 and some. I don't know exactly what it was, somewhere between 420 probably and 470. So let's just say there's 500 players in the whole game of Splinterlands playing at the championship level, roughly speaking. You could have 8 new players just join the game and extrapolate the same value as one of the top 500 players in the game. I did also want to share one other piece of data, because as I was actually looking at Mav chat within the first hour of the end of season finishing, I was actually had a baseball game and wasn't able to open my reward, so I was just kind of looking to see from time to time what other people were getting. Well, some of the comments that I saw in Mav chat were that a lot of people were disappointed with their chests that they might have got in the champion level or the diamond level, just from a value perspective. So there seemed to be some folks that were a little saddened by that. And what I will say is, yes, I was probably expecting maybe a little bit more expected value here. Like we talked about, it was probably a little over $30 expected value for these 60 champion chests, and I got $23. First of all, that's still very good. I'm certainly happy with that. I'm not disappointed with it, and I think it's great. I think right now rewards in the game are probably the best they've ever been, or at least since I've played the game, they're the best they've ever been. And I'm sure people will have differing opinions there, but what I will tell you is that the law of averages, you have to allow it some time to kick in and let her work her magic, because here we've got 60 chests. And yeah, I got lucky maybe and pulled 2 Chaos Legion packs that helped, increase my value here to $22.95. And if I hadn't pulled those 2 Chaos Legion packs, well, then the value would obviously be a lot less. It'd be $8 less roughly. But in 60 chests is a generally small sample size. And, for those that may not have gotten great value this first end of season, all I would say is, just wait until next season or the season after. As you keep playing, the law of averages should work in your favor. And I can give you an example of how that worked for me just recently. So as I was recording the video here, my daily focus expired, and I didn't have really time to play the game today, so I only got 4 chests in the daily focus, but they were at the old champion chest level since it was kind of spanning the end of season period. And I'm going to share with you what I pulled from those 4 champion chests just recently. And that was here. You can see what I got. I got a Venari Heatsmith and 3 DEC drops. But one of those DEC drops was for $30,480 DEC, and coupled with the other 288 DEC and 96 DEC, it's close to $30 in value. Let's say, I didn't do the math, let's say it's around $26 to $28 in value. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that 30,480 DEC that I got from the daily focus today was actually worth more in those 4 chests than I got in all 60 chests here for my end of season reward. You can see the DEC I got from my end of season reward was 16,080, and just here in the daily focus today I pulled over 30,000. So that's the law of averages working, in your favor to balance things out over time. So I would just say, as a general rule of thumb, is give the reward some time to average things out. And yeah, you may not have pulled something great this season, but there's always next season, or in my case, there was the next daily focus pull. So let's go into the next topic here. Let's talk a little bit about the reward cards, because that's what we're getting here in these chests in a lot of cases, especially at the bronze and silver levels where you might be farming as your alt accounts. Now, this screenshot here is a screenshot of the reward cards printed prior to the end of season finishing. So this was done, I think, a little bit earlier in the morning before the end of season rewards were generated. And the 2 numbers I want you to look at are the percent printed for the Venari Heatsmith and the percent printed for the Vampire Bat. So these are just common reward cards. And we can see here that the Venari Heatsmith, the old Chaos Legion reward cards, before end of season were 58.73% printed. And after the end of season, or I guess the current print rate right now, and this is roughly, as I'm recording this video, roughly 17 hours into or past the end of season mark. So we're almost a day and a half, or almost a half, like 3/4 of a day, almost a full day past end of season mark. So most people probably have opened their end of season chests here. And for the Venari Heatsmith, you can see it's 59.84% printed now. So if we look at the difference here between 59.84 and 58.73, it's a little over 1%, like 1.1% was printed during this end of season in the grand scheme of common cards. Now, we know that there's going to be 8 million common cards for Chaos Legion reward cards printed, and 1.1% is roughly 88,000 Venari Heatsmiths were printed in the last 17 hours. Now, if we look at the Vampire Bat, which is a new Chaos Legion reward card, we can see that going into end of season, so far during the season, we had 1.97% of this card already printed, and it was just released, well, about 2 weeks ago. And now if we look at after the end of season initial rush has happened, we're at, for the Vampire Bat, 3.08. So again, 3.08 versus 1.97. It's roughly 1.1% again. So about 88,000 Vampire Bats printed, which is what you would expect between the 2 types of common Chaos Legion reward cards, the older ones and the newer ones. So what's interesting to note here is that these cards have been out roughly 2 weeks, and they're already at 3% printed. So if we extrapolate that, roughly speaking, with no changes to anything as far as new players or anything else happening in the game. So if we look at 100 divided by 3.07, so 32 right there is basically how many 2-week periods that would take to run through this print run with no changes at this run rate approximately. So 65.14 weeks roughly. So basically, if we subtract 52 weeks in a year, so basically a year and I guess that would be a year and 3 months basically at the current run rate is what we would expect for these new common reward cards to be printed. But here is the thing that we have to look at when we look at these numbers. If we go to the Peak Monsters dashboard, again, before the new rank reward system, we had roughly 364,000 daily active users. Now, as of the last 2 days, we're at roughly about 183 to 186,000 as more and more probably bots come back online and new players come into the game perhaps. You can see the new players is pretty flat though. We're still staying flat at around 800 to around 800 really new players a day. So what this means is from our peak just before the new rank reward system, we had roughly a little under 200,000, let's say 180,000 more players in the game, which is, twice what we have right now. So basically, what's interesting when we look at these run rates or print rates for the Chaos Legion reward cards, if we see this at 3.07 for a common vampire bat, or 3.08 now, it just ticked up a little bit. So what we can really say is that once all the bots come back, and I'm assuming most of them will because we just saw the rewards that we got by renting cards throughout the day and doing the daily focus was quite lucrative, certainly much more valuable than ever before. So we could say that once the bots come back or new players come back or whatever we get to our previous daily active users, basically the print rate would actually go up to roughly from 3.1 to 6.2. So let's redo that math. Linearly speaking, obviously it's very generic. It doesn't account for a lot of factors. Let's just say it's 100 divided by 6.2. How many 2-week periods are we looking at roughly to run through that common print rate? Well, now we're looking at a little bit different figure here. We're looking at 16 2-week periods. So this is the total weeks then. It would be 32.25 weeks divided by roughly 4 weeks in a month. And basically it'll take 8 months to go through this this newest set of Chaos Legion reward cards that we have just got released 2 weeks ago. So that's a much different figure. 8 months would roughly put these new reward cards being out of print around mid-February 2023 if not a lot of new players came to the game. We just got the bots back roughly. But in reality, it will actually be sooner than that if those 180,000 players come back in the game. And we'll talk about why, because here in just a minute, we'll discuss when the old Chaos Legion reward cards will be out of print, like the Venari Heatsmiths, the General Shaunesses, etc. And what's going to happen at that point in time is once the old Chaos Legion cards are out of print, then all those commons are no longer printed anymore, and so the rate doubles again. So basically the rate will double when the bots return, and then the rate will again double once the old Chaos Legion reward cards are out of print. But what I also want to call your attention to is the existing Chaos Legion reward cards. If that moves to a 6.2% print rate every 2 weeks, it's a little bit different here. So instead of having 100% to work with, but we already have 59.84% printed of Venari Heatsmiths as an example. So that's 40.16 as our base number here. And if we divide that by 6.2, this is the amount of 2 week periods that's going to take to sell out basically, or be out of print on Venari Heatsmiths. It's 6.47 2 weeks periods. You times that by the 2 weeks. This is the number of weeks. 12.9 weeks. Divide that by 4 weeks in a month. Well, basically 3.2 months is what you have left to get your General Shaunesses before those are out of print. So 3.2 months is roughly the mid to end of September is when we might predict the existing old Chaos Legion reward cards to be out of print, assuming that the bots come back soon, like in the next week or so, roughly speaking. So monitor your Explorer or your dashboard within Peak Monsters, and then you can kind of extrapolate this here moving forward. So just a little interesting exercise there for you that I wanted to share. I did also want to share one other piece of data here, and this is the Chaos Legion packs that existed before, roughly the morning before the end of season rewards were released, and it was 8.686 million had been sold or given away as part of end of season rewards, and that's, or I should say, loot box rewards. So this is interesting to note because if we use that as the baseline, 8686073 is what was sold, and now we look at the current Splinterlands store, we can see that we have sold now 8707095. So in the last 17 hours, 21,022, roughly speaking, Chaos Legion packs have been either sold or given away. Now, we don't know how many were sold in the last 17 hours, but between sales and packs given away at end of season rewards, that is essentially the high water mark for burn of Chaos Legion pack giveaways at end of season. So that 21,000 number will be something to monitor here moving forward after each end of season, so we can kind of see what the variance might be as we predict things like airdrops and other things coming into reality. So that might be something of interest as well. The last remaining thought I'll leave you with is, again, these alts. The values here, $3.50, $2.13, $1.83, $2.94, etc. These are all values that are just end of season reward values. They don't account for the, let's say, on average 17 chests I was getting on a daily basis per account when I ran these accounts for these chests or these accounts. So this is just end of season value. You also have to realize that for the last 15 days, each of these accounts was, pumping out about 17 loot chests on average is what I would take them up to before I stopped, just from a time investment perspective. Now, as well, these are bronze level chests. This next season, since I went into Silver 3, I'll be earning silver level chests on these alt accounts this next season. So I may not earn as many or as quickly the loot chests for end of season and daily, but the loot chests will be more valuable per Splinterlands rentals. Instead of being worth 3.2 cents, they'll be worth roughly 6.7 cents, so more than twice as valuable. So I guess the takeaway here is, if you're a new player, now is an excellent time to get into Splinterlands. Reward cards are cheap to buy, the card market is down, and yeah, reward cards are flowing in quite plentiful, as well as reward values here. You can definitely come into the game here. Probably no better time to come into the game to play, to start building your deck, and to start accumulating Splinterlands assets for that next big boom and push here. We're obviously in a little bit of a bear market for crypto, so if you're looking for a project that will have some upside potential in the future, this might be one for you. And there's probably no better time to enter now, with the ability to earn pretty much rewards for free with a $10 spellbook and the rental credits that you get to fund the account, and get good value out of your time. And if you are a new player looking to get into the game, well, feel free to use the referral link in the video description below to join the game and join in on the fun here. Stick around for the channel content moving forward, and yeah, the referral link does help our small channel out just a little bit as well. So thank you if you do that. And also, as an existing player, I would honestly say, if you're not taking advantage of using alts, if you have the time, And granted, time is a valuable asset, so not everyone has time to play alts. But if you do like the game and you do have extra time, you may consider creating one alt or maybe multiple alts, or maybe running bots if that's of interest to you, to gather some of these rewards, because, well, bot farmers are going to do so for sure. And, well, if you can't beat them, join them, right? So whether you do it manually or whether you use a bot program, now is probably a good time as an experienced player to get additional reward card assets if you're interested. So there you have it, some topics for conversation. I'm sure there's something maybe we can comment or talk about here in the comments section below. If so, drop a comment and let me know what you think of the reward system and what you're going to be doing strategy-wise for the second season of the new ranked rewards. Until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.